It's Wednesday, December 11th, and this is now on HNN. Still developing an officer-involved shooting near Pearlridge. We'll have the latest.
Plus, the all-clear has been given in Texas. We'll tell you why a military base there went into lockdown.
If there was some kind of warning sign there, we wouldn't have even been near it.
The family of an 18-month-old girl who died on a cruise ship last summer says Royal Caribbean is responsible for the child's death.
The House Democrats announced these two flimsy, pathetic, ridiculous articles of impeachment.
I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill, where the House Judiciary Committee will be debating articles of impeachment late into the night.
A Pacific Island region has just voted to become the world's newest nation.
These stories, and Time Magazine names its Person of the Year. Coming up on This Is Now.
Hey everyone, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Soppy, your producer-director here alongside Ashley.
Yep, good morning everyone. So we are following developing news out of Aiea. An officer-involved shooting prompted heavy police presence this morning near Pearlridge Center. Let's get to Lacey Denise with the latest details.
Happening right now, police are searching for the suspect or suspects involved in an officer-involved shooting in Aiea. Honolulu police officials tell us the shooting happened shortly before 7 o'clock this morning, somewhere along Kamehameha Highway in Pearl City. The suspect or suspects then fled toward Pearlridge Shopping Center. Police were able to track down the suspect vehicle on Kaonohi Street, prompting a full closure of the northbound lanes. Meanwhile, nearby Pearlridge Elementary School was placed in lockdown while officers searched for the suspect. Honolulu police have opened a first-degree attempted murder investigation. At this point, it's unclear if there were any injuries or what led to the shooting. But stay with Hawaii News Now throughout the day for the latest updates on this developing story.
And we've learned those lockdowns have been lifted, so we have some good news reports for parents there.
And we'll be following this story, so stay with Hawaii News Now on air, online, and we'll have an update for you tonight at 5 and 6. Meanwhile, in Texas, a naval air station went into lockdown today after an armed person was reported on base. People at Naval Air Station Corpus Christi were told to shelter in place. That order was lifted later and base gates were reopened, but people were asked to stay away from one specific building on base. The lockdown came after shootings last week here at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard and another naval base in Pensacola, Florida. Authorities say there are no indications that the events are linked.
All right, and we also have some new details regarding that New Jersey shooting that we were leading the newscast with yesterday.
That's right. So the mayor of Jersey City believes the shooters, a man and a woman, clearly targeted a Jewish market.
We could see the van moving through Jersey City streets slowly. The perpetrator stopped in front of there, calmly opened the door with two long rifles, him and the other perpetrator, and began firing.
So sources told CNN a note was found in the suspect's stolen U-Haul truck that contained both anti-Semitic and anti-police writing, and that there were similar social media posts with those similar sentiments. But some officials, including the New Jersey Attorney General, are not calling the tragedy a hate crime just yet. 6 people were killed in the shootout, including the 2 suspects and a police officer.
All right, we had a big exclusive story yesterday here on HNN.
Yep, back here at home, cameras captured a woman in a Kauai jail attempting suicide. Guards were supposed to be monitoring the cameras, but it was more than an hour after her first attempt that her body was discovered. Now, our chief investigative reporter, Lynn Kawano, spoke with her family about this story, and they are now suing the county.
The video is difficult to watch, we have to warn you, but showing it gives you an idea of just how much time passed without anyone coming to Leslie Lutao's aid and the opportunities the police had to save her.
July 30th, 2017, just before noon, 59-year-old Leslie Lutao was arrested for a traffic warrant and put in a Kauai Police Department cell. The woman, already in cell number 5, takes the top bunk. Lutao was given a thin mattress and a mylar blanket to keep warm. Within 10 minutes, the cellmate settles in for a nap. Lutao lies on the bottom bunk. About a half hour later, she is seen on surveillance video wrapping the blanket around her head and twisting the excess. 6 minutes later, at 12:45, Lutao again begins twisting the blanket, then takes a bite out of it. For a good 5 minutes, it's obvious she is eating chunks of the mylar. At about 12:55, 15 minutes after first trying to suffocate herself, she stands up, this time twisting the blanket even tighter before she lies back down and wraps it around her neck like a noose. The attorney for the Lutao family, Michael Green, says the KPD officers who are supposed to be monitoring the cameras should have noticed the woman's bizarre behavior by now.
Once you see her twisting this metal sheet, there's only one reason to try to do that, or to do that. And my sense was maybe she thought she could wrap it around her neck and kill herself by strangulation.
By 1 o'clock, you see Lutao shoving chunks of the blanket into her mouth and using her fingers to force it down her throat. This happened several times over the next several minutes. Then, at about 1:10 in the afternoon, 45 minutes into her suicidal struggle, she takes a bite right in front of the camera. Still, no officers come into the cell, which is now littered with torn up pieces of mylar. At 1:12, she stands up, hunches over, obviously in distress. For 2 minutes, she struggles. Then, the video from Kauai police suddenly jumps ahead. 5 minutes are edited out. When it starts up again, Leslie Lutao is passed out. It would be another hour and 15 minutes before her cellmate wakes up to find Lutao and starts banging on the door. The officer takes another minute to respond. Paramedics arrive at 2:41 p.m. and start chest compressions. Green has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Lutao's husband and their 4 grown children. The autopsy report shows asphyxia due to foreign body obstruction as the cause of death.
It's not like you have somebody that was in jail because she spent most of her life in jail. She's better off locked up than being in a free society. It's a damn traffic warrant.
Lutao's daughter, Jessica Lancaster, says it was difficult to get information in the weeks after the incident.
I called CPD every day, all day, talked to the detectives, internal affairs, and nothing was seeming to make sense. It was hard for me to gather or accumulate facts, paper trail, the proper documents. I felt as if they were withholding evidence, so her death didn't make any sense.
Lancaster says her mother was a family woman, close to her kids and grandkids, but she struggled with depression. Lancaster says KPD should have known that because officers responded to her mom's home for a prior suicide attempt. Since then, Lancaster says her mother had ups and downs, but she says KPD was aware of the risk and Lutao should have been on suicide watch.
In a statement, the Kauai Police Department said they are unable to comment on pending litigation, but told us there are officers dedicated to cell block around the clock, a minimum of 2 at each shift. There are a total of 6 cells at KPD.
We are joined now by our chief investigative reporter, Lynn Kawano. Now, Lynn, was this woman supposed to be on suicide watch, and who determines that?
So that's a question the family wants to know. If you're on suicide watch, you're constantly monitored. Officers check on you every so many minutes. They would have been monitoring the cameras a little bit more closely, and she would have had more contact with the officers. Suicide watch is for someone who is deemed a danger to themselves, and the family believes that because police responded less than a year earlier to a suicide attempt at her home, KPD would have on record and they would have known that she was suicidal, or she at least struggled with depression, and therefore put her on suicide watch. So that's one of the questions the family wants to know, is why she wasn't put on suicide watch. Clearly, if KPD responded a year earlier, there was some knowledge there that they could have looked up and known that she probably needed to be monitored more closely.
And I know KPD sent you a statement. What were the questions you asked them, maybe about protocol? Should people have been watching the cameras?
A lot of the questions they couldn't answer because of pending litigation, which is common. It's a common practice. But what they did tell us was that there are 6 cells at the Kauai Police Department cell block. Obviously, by looking at them, 2 per cell, at least from this one, which is cell 5. And one of the things we wanted addressed was, are officers supposed to be monitoring these cameras? If not, why have the cameras, period? So they did say that there are 2 officers on a shift that should be monitoring cell block. They didn't specifically say the cameras, but cell block. So I don't know if that means walking between the cells or just monitoring the cameras. But when you watch the video that we had, I mean, we're talking about 2 hours and multiple attempts, and obvious multiple attempts. I don't know if she was even aware that the camera was there. She wasn't trying to hide from the camera. So there's really no reason why any officer of the 2 on the shift wouldn't have noticed some bizarre behavior and at least gone in and questioned her about it or raised a red flag.
So what's going to happen next with the case? The family has an attorney.
The family has an attorney, 2 attorneys, one on Kauai and one here, Michael Green, and they have filed the lawsuit. And the initial stages is get discovery, get this video, get some answers, some of the police reports. We did get the autopsy report as well. And then it will move forward through the court system. The one thing about this case is it is pretty old. I mean, it's from June of 2017, but that's really how long it takes to get to this point. These civil cases take quite a while. Michael Green did get the video, but the video, there's some concerns there because there's 5 minutes, very important 5 minutes. It's where she passes out. What happened in those 5 minutes? That's one of the questions we have to ask. Did she actually raise her hand and flag for help? Did she obviously seem to be in even more distress than we're seeing? So what is missing from those 5 minutes, and why was it edited out? That's very concerning that even in discovery for a pending lawsuit, there are 5 important minutes missing from the video.
Okay, well, I know you'll be following this, Lynn. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jonathan.
All right, guys, thank you so much for that report. Lynn's going to file extended coverage on this on our HNN digital platforms. That's where you can go and watch that video if you do want to. Again, we're going to give you the graphic warning there, so heed caution if you do go check it out. We're going to move on to some international news. The family of a toddler who was killed on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship over the summer is now filing suit. We have a report now from Nichelle Medina. Let me pull that up for us. Here's what she had to say.
The family of 18-month-old Chloe Wiegand is suing Royal Caribbean Cruises.
Royal Caribbean played a major role in the death of our child.
The toddler died in July when she fell 11 stories to her death on the Freedom of the Seas cruise ship when it was docked in Puerto Rico. Her grandfather had just lifted her to what he thought was a closed window when she slipped from his grasp.
There is no reason for this ship to have walls of glass surrounding the 11th floor with portions that open. If that condition did not exist, Chloe would still be here.
The 51-year-old grandfather, Salvatore Anello, recently sat down with CBS News.
Not knowing that there wasn't glass there. If somehow I thought that she was going beyond the glass, I wouldn't have done it. If there was some kind of warning sign there, we wouldn't have even been near it.
Puerto Rican authorities charged Anello with 1 misdemeanor count of negligent homicide.
I sit here broken, and we all sit here broken, but our family is strong, and we will stay strong together.
The family is asking for unspecified damages.
The singular goal is to raise awareness about window falls to try to prevent this from ever happening to another child again.
Chloe's mother said the toddler would have turned 2 this Friday.
We should be celebrating with a present and birthday cake, but instead we're here talking about her death. I spend my evenings visiting with her urn rather than rocking my little girl to sleep.
In a statement, Royal Caribbean said, quote, "We have no comment on the civil filing." Nichelle Medina, CBS News.
All right, thank you so much for that report. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit here. We're going to take a peek outside from here in the Digital Center. We're taking a live look at a live camera on the North Shore, a pipeline, some dangerous surf rolling into the North Shores of many islands today. It's not even peaked yet. But I'm told by the organizers this is not going to be good enough for the eddy. So no eddy will run, but you can see plenty of folks out there in the lineup right now, even a drone flying around on this beautiful day. What can you tell us, Ashley?
Well, a high surf warning has been posted for north and west facing shores from Niihau to Maui. Some shores could see surf as high as 25 feet by this afternoon, but not good enough for the eddy. Here's Guy with your forecast.
How's it on this Wednesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your Hawaii News Now. weather.com forecast. A high surf warning has been posted from Niihau to Kauai to Oahu to Maui County for the north and west shores on a swell expected to pick up this afternoon and peak tomorrow with life-threatening waves. So this afternoon is going to be 18 to 25 up in the country, 15 to 20 on the west side. But right now the waves are good enough, and that's why the Billabong Pipeline Masters is on. And on that rising swell tomorrow as it peaks over on Maui, the Peahi Challenge will hit the water. Good luck to all the competitors. So again, we've got that swell rising this afternoon, peaking tomorrow, slowly backing down on Friday. But watch this, there's another solid northwest swell going to be coming in sometime between Sunday and Monday of next week. And that swell is going to have favorable wind conditions as well. For now, the winds are light. We're not seeing much in the way of rainfall, just a few minor splashes this morning. And we're likely to see just a few showers, maybe in the afternoon, but all in all, it's a mostly dry atmosphere. So temperatures will be running into the mid to low 80s today, but with those variable winds and the afternoon clouds, it might be a little sticky. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Thanks, Guy. Thanks for that report. We're taking another live look out on one of our windows on the world here from the Digital Center. We're looking at Washington, D.C. Ashley just described this sunset as cotton candy. We're seeing pink clouds as the sun sets over a late autumn day. The leaves are almost all lost their leaves there, but change is in the works. There's been a lot of developments in the impeachment inquiry.
Yep, not so peaceful what's happening inside the building. So the House Judiciary Committee is meeting tonight to begin debating the articles of impeachment against President Trump. If the charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress are passed out of the committee, they'll then go to the floor of the House for a full vote. Here's Natalie Brand.
Expect more fireworks from the House Judiciary Committee late into the night.
The witness. Bang it harder. It still doesn't make the point that you're not doing it right.
The gentleman will continue.
The week started with the committee's contentious hearing Monday as the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump entered its final stages. Tonight, lawmakers begin debating the two articles of impeachment laid out Tuesday by House Democrats. Democratic Caucus Chair Hakeem Jeffries of New York serves on the Judiciary Committee.
We want to keep the focus and will keep the focus on the extraordinary abuse of power that Donald Trump has engaged in.
The first article of impeachment alleges President Trump openly and corruptly urged Ukraine to publicly announce investigations into his political opponent, former Vice President Joe Biden. The second article of impeachment accuses the president of directing the unprecedented, categorical, and indiscriminate defiance of the House investigation. Tonight's debate is expected to last several hours and continue into Thursday. Once the committee takes a vote, that puts the House on pace for a full floor vote next week. President Trump says Republicans stand behind him, and he slammed the inquiry at a rally in Pennsylvania Tuesday night, calling it impeachment light.
The House Democrats announced these two flimsy, pathetic, ridiculous articles of impeachment.
If the articles pass in the House, the Republican-controlled Senate is expected to hold a trial in early January. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
All right, some really interesting news from the Asia Pacific to pass along.
That's right. So voters in the Pacific Island region of Bougainville have voted to become the world's newest nation. More than 98% of ballots favored independence from Papua New Guinea. The only other option on the ballot was greater autonomy for the region. Now, independence would need to be negotiated between the leaders from Bougainville and Papua New Guinea, and the final say would be in the hands of lawmakers from Papua New Guinea Parliament. Now, officials say the process of becoming a separate nation could take years, understandably.
And we'll be following it. Very interesting. All right, Time Magazine, big announcement today.
Yes, 16-year-old Swedish environmental activist Greta Thunberg has become Time Magazine's youngest person of the year. The magazine credits her for becoming the biggest voice on the biggest issue facing the planet. Here's Kenneth Craig reporting.
Climate activist Greta Thunberg is Time Magazine's Person of the Year. The magazine says this was the year the climate crisis went from behind the curtain to center stage, and no one did more to make that happen than Thunberg.
We are facing a real crisis.
Hours before Time announced the honor, the 16-year-old Swedish environmentalist spoke at the United Nations climate talks in Madrid, where she accused leaders of misleading the public.
The biggest danger is not inaction, The real danger is when politicians and CEOs are making it look like real action is happening when, in fact, almost nothing is being done apart from clever accounting and creative PR.
It's her blunt talk that has in part turned her into a global sensation in little more than a year. In August, she crossed the Atlantic in a zero-carbon emissions boat to participate in the United Nations Climate Summit. Her glare at President Trump's arrival went viral, and she slammed world leaders for not doing enough.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
The people united!
Her actions inspired millions of climate strikers around the world, many of them young people. Wednesday, she tweeted that she shares this great honor with climate activists everywhere. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Certainly an inspiring woman there. And I was just looking some things up. And did you know this is the first time Time has chosen an individual teenager as a Person of the Year? Before this, we have to go way back to Charles Lindbergh.
Wow.
Famous aviator who's 25 years old, and he was selected as the most influential man in 1927.
So 16 and 25 really makes you wonder, what are we doing with our lives, Jonathan?
Oh man, that makes me feel
There's
good.
so much to do.
But I'm very proud of her. Very cool. I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
Some other big announcements about some possible recognition in Hollywood.
That's right. The nominees for the 26th Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards are in. Leading the pack with 4 nominations each are the Quentin Tarantino-directed film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bombshell, which is based upon several women at Fox News who set out to expose CEO for sexual harassment, and Marriage Story, which is Netflix's take on divorce with an all-star cast. Now, Robert De Niro is set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award for his celebrated 5-decade-long career and humanitarian accomplishments, and many actors consider the SAG Awards the most prestigious in Hollywood since they're voted on by their peers.
And I just watched The Irishman on Netflix.
Oh, how was it?
Long,
but
so good. So good. You get to see those 3 guys on the screen again all together.
Yeah.
Not anti-aging, but the aging technology they use to make them look younger is fascinating. It's like really legit. Doesn't look CGI at all. I'm into it. Recommended by me.
Have you seen any of the nominees?
None of those.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not getting out there. Bombshell looks really interesting, of course, being in the news business. Tarantino, not a huge fan of his.
Violent?
A little too violent for me. You know, I like a happy movie or an inspiring movie most of the time, but, you know.
What I like to do is I like to wait for the awards to be over, and then I know which ones I need to see. And then I just binge watch them.
That's a good rule to live by, and it's also cheaper. Definitely. Well, someone else, we've been talking about retailers, or actually fast foods, like merging with retail, and we saw McDonald's launching a new retail line of clothing last week, and now someone else is getting into the business.
That's right. If you need something to wear for your ugly sweater, Christmas sweater party, look no further, because Popeyes is selling this hot number. The company's chicken sandwich was so popular this year that it's putting the sandwich on a Christmas sweater with orange and white.
$44.95?
And it's $44.95. Yes, it'll cost you a pretty penny. But, you know, there's the white and orange stripes, Christmas trees, snowflakes, and that chicken sandwich that's, you know, getting everyone to stand in long lines for.
Don't worry about it. You don't have to give me that for Christmas. Don't worry. Now these new cookies, on the other hand,
If you need a baked cookies for Santa this year, Pillsbury has rolled out a new limited edition cookie dough flavor, Lucky Charms.
Love cereal, love Lucky Charms.
Yeah, so the sweet treats are stuffed with the marshmallows straight from the cereal box. Right now it's only being sold at select stores like Walmart, but the new flavor should be available nationwide in January.
What is it about those little marshmallows, those little hard, crunchy marshmallows? Okay, so seriously, I bought hot chocolate to take to Holiday Lights, and then I found you can buy those little hard marshmallows that come with the hot chocolate and that are in Lucky Charms. You can buy them now in
Separately?
bulk. Yeah, separately.
Oh my goodness.
So I thought that would last a while because it's a big jar.
So you bought it.
I started just eating them right out of the jar. So there's about this much left.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't even make it to the hot chocolate.
Oh,
I have a problem.
You're disgusting. I'm just kidding. I love you.
Well.
And speaking of cereal, General
Rip the heart out of my Cheerio.
Speaking Speaking of hearts, General Mills is unveiling its new heart-shaped Cheerios. It's the first time in 40 years the company has moved beyond the iconic O shape. Now the change will appear in limited edition boxes of Honey Nut and Original Cheerios and will be available nationwide next month. The
Very
company
cute.
says the move is meant to promote heart health at a time when people are making those New Year's resolutions.
How did they make the heart?
I know.
You know, it's not that defined.
But that's a
It's
small,
cute. Yeah.
a small thing to make a heart shape into.
I'll call it a modern marvel. Modern marvel. It's pretty cool. That's adorable.
Yeah, I love
Cool,
it.
and a good promotion there too. All right, we're gonna take you outside one more time to Pipeline, and we're gonna leave you with this beautiful shot of those waves rolling in. It's gonna peak coming up really soon this evening, so high surf warning in effect. You know, we're gonna be back here tomorrow, so we see you then.
Have a great day.